Hi everyone. Today I'm actually going to talk a little about one of my favorite programs, which is Snapseed. And this is one that I use an awful lot to initially maybe using photographs, getting them into the way I want them, or sometimes it's just used for an awful lot of finishing and everything else. But it's the equivalent Photoshop on a mobile. It's really, really good. Now I've got a photograph open here, but if you want to open one, you can open up at the top left, there's open, and you can see a range of photographs underneath, or you can go to open from device and scroll through your albums. So what I'm going to do anyway, I'm going to change this one to that one, and now we've got the image I want to work on a wee bit. This was taken recently down in Groomsport, not far from me. Lovely crisp morning. Anyway, so what I want to do now is, if you look at the bottom, you have looks, tools and export. Export's for saving it. Tools I'll explain in a moment. And looks, if you open that up, you've got all these different presets, and they may just do what you want. You know, just go through them, see what works for you. Into black and whites can all work quite well. Sometimes even use some of these here, and then you can go on and do other things afterwards. But for the moment I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to go back, keep the current one, and go back. The wee X closes it down, and we'll go into tools. Now what I'm going to talk about today really are the three top tools here: tune image, details, curves, white balance and crop. Now a lot of people will understand all these things if you work in Photoshop, but even if you don't, you want to improve your family photographs, this is where you start from. There's a lot more below that, which I'll come to on other days. So first of all, tune image. Now, at the very top you'll see brightness, but how do you get to doing anything else? Using your finger, you move it up and down the screen like that. Just set it on the screen, move it up and down. So we've got brightness, contrast, saturation, ambience, highlights, shadows and warmth. I like to go to ambience first because it opens the image up an awful lot for me. The way to move it is left to right. Move your finger backwards and forwards, left to right. So if I go to the right, see the way I look? That has changed that quite dramatically. We've got more detail in the shadows, and even the sky has come down a bit. So if you take that back to where it was, you've got the sky a lot better, more drama into it and everything else. So we'll bring that up to about 50% approximately. And then I want to go on and do something else. So let's say brightness. No, maybe not too much. I'll keep it about the same. Contrast, you can bring up a wee tiny bit. Go to saturation. Now you can bring in a lot more colour, or bring it right the way down to black and white, but there's other ways to get to black and white. So at the moment I'm leaving saturation alone. Now your highlights, if you want to bring your highlights down, there we are, getting those. We're now seeing a lot more detail in that sky. It's not really affecting the shadows, so we brought those down. But now your shadows, if you do that, moving backwards and forwards, what you're getting now is you're bringing out all that detail in that wall there. So it's already improved quite dramatically from what it was. There we started with that, and that's what we're at the moment. And that's by holding on to, at the top right hand corner, you'll see sort of a wee square with a half thing down it, and if you hold on to that, it shows you where you started and where you are now. So if we're happy with that, just checking here, warmth, I don't want to add any more to that. So go down to the bottom, click the tick box, and that's the first set of your work done. So let's go back into other things. I'll leave details for the moment. You can go into curves. Now you don't actually have to do a lot with these curves. There's a lot of presets here of curves, and all you have to do is go through them until you see something that you like. Curves generally you normally could play around with, but I think it's better if you just don't touch them too much. And just if you find something that you like, you can keep that. But again, I'm going to leave it as it was when I took it on from the last one. And then I can hide that again. So that was it. So hit the X, come back out of that. White balance. Well, now this you can temperature or tint. You've got an eyedropper tool, so that can go into different places. Move that around, and you're getting a different look in the different areas to get your white balance. So what you're wanting to maybe try and do is keep it neutral, but generally you shouldn't have too much to do with that there at all. It's just an extra. But personally, for general stuff, I wouldn't bother at all. So that's come off there, and we'll close that down again. So we're back to our normal photograph. The next one here is a crop. Now, you can crop this to any shape you want. This is in the original. Down below you see all the different shapes. Very first one is free. So in other words, if I click on that, I'm able to pull that in to wherever I want it to be, like that, and that will crop it. But if I go back, and I'm back to the original, and then you've got different shapes. You're losing a wee bit here and there. You have a square, so you can do that with it. You've got the 3x2, 4x3, 5x4, 7x5, and 16:9. But for this particular picture, I'm very happy with the way it is, and I'm going to stay with the original. And so we'll stick with that. I can click the tick box, that's fine. Going back in again now, this is details. This is something that I don't normally do until really the very end. But you've got two things on here, structure and sharpening. And you have to be careful with both of these. Too much of either might look great, but what happens is then you can start getting artifacts into the image itself. So let's say it's structure first. See at the top where I move my finger across to the right. Oh, look at that drama coming up and everything else. That looks really good. Go right to the end. But see what we're getting? Now, that's not too bad, but you're starting to see a white line down here, which is not good in a straight photograph. Now, if you're putting it up onto Facebook or anything like that, nobody I think is going to worry about that too much. But if you're going to print these off for competition, you have to watch that. So I would tend to pull down a wee bit and then look at the sharpening. We'll come in a wee bit more on this here. And I bring the sharpening, and now starting to see the sharpening. And that sharpening also will make that white edge a bit stronger. But again, if it's for online, I would never worry. So that is the basics of this particular set of wee pictures. I will be doing more the next line, the next day, and maybe the next line after that, so as to give you all a clue about how I go about and what I do to get my photographs. So I hope you find that has been worthwhile. Thanks very much again for watching.